How does one man become the voice of an entire university? First, he listens. Bob Murphy began hearing about Stanford University when he was just 10 years old, growing up on the peninsula. His father took him to Stanford Stadium to watch Frankie Albert play quarterback and told young Bob about the school and its great football teams. Then he enrolled at the school and began a romance that has lasted nearly 60 years. In fact, it would be a near fruitless exercise to determine just how many people from Stanford that Murphy knows or has influenced.
Well, if you consider football players, if you consider students, if you consider fans, if you consider people that worked in the athletic department, it's got to be literally in the tens of thousands. I would not doubt if it was that high.
How does one man become the voice of an entire university? It probably helps if you were born at Stanford Hospital, as Murphy was in 1931. After high school, he moved into Encina Hall and began working toward his history degree while joining the Stanford baseball team. And as the squad's MVP, pitching the team to the school's first College World Series appearance in 1953. Murphy then played 3 seasons of minor league baseball for the Oakland Oaks and worked in the business community for a few years before returning to Stanford for a job in the athletic department as a publicity and marketing man.
Well, we hope that we can throw the ball, Bob, but it's not.
Right about then, a young football coach named John Ralston showed up on campus, and he recruited a quarterback named Jim Plunkett out of San Jose. Together, they orchestrated a major turnaround in Stanford's football program. In 1970, the overwhelming Heisman Trophy favorite was Archie Manning of Mississippi, until Murphy persuaded school officials to crank up a $350 campaign for Plunkett.
He wrote all the sports writers and broadcasters a letter, and he said, let's at least wait until they've played a few games. You know, let's see how Plunkett does, let's see how Manning does before we award the Heisman Trophy to Manning. And then we did a very small brochure. It wasn't even, it was 2-color. It was red and black, and it was 4 pages, and we sent that out to everybody. Plunkett the player, Plunkett the man, Plunkett the student. And then he just worked it. He worked it all year. He worked the announcers, he worked the writers.
Oh, it's a tremendous honor. When I first started playing, winning the Heisman Trophy probably never entered my mind, and then winning it, it's beyond.
When Plunkett did win the Heisman, Murphy admitted that he cried, in happiness for Plunkett and also because it validated Stanford as a top-tier football program. But the fun had just begun. Stanford earned a Rose Bowl trip to play Ohio State, where Murphy proceeded to work more publicity magic.
We're meeting with the NBC people about the broadcast and how the players are going to be introduced before the game. And I remember sitting there in the room watching Murph as he was thinking about this and talking to the announcers and the producers, and he said, you know what would be great? It would really be great if we could tell what the players' majors are, so that we could say, hi, I'm Don Bunce, quarterback, pre-med major. And I thought to myself, if he can get this thing through, this will be the greatest thing that ever happened. And somehow the guys at NBC said, this is great. So there we are at Stanford, and they're interviewing the players, introducing the players, and everyone's pre-law, pre-med, human biology. And here comes the Ohio State guys, basket weaving, criminal justice, general studies, undeclared. And Stanford, I can tell you, made millions of dollars because of that. People were so impressed when they watched that broadcast that these guys were actually student athletes. And then we won the game. I'm sure if somebody tracked the donations after that game, it had to be unbelievable.
Beating Ohio State in the 1971 Rose Bowl was one of the great chapters in Stanford football history. However, few would predict that Stanford would travel again to Pasadena the next year to take on the powerful and undefeated Michigan Wolverines.
How does one man become the voice of an entire university? When he is there for back-to-back Rose Bowl victories, one over Ohio State, one over Michigan, with him talking about both games over the airwaves. Murphy first became part of Stanford football broadcasts in 1964. He continued on a part-time basis after leaving Stanford in 1974 to direct the East-West Shrine All-Star Game, and then moved to Ohio and worked for Jack Nicklaus as the startup specialist for Nicklaus's new PGA Tour event, the Memorial Tournament. But the South Bay called him back when San Jose State hired Murphy as athletic director. He served the Spartans well until once more he could not resist the tug from Stanford. In 1985, he began an uninterrupted run on Cardinal football and men's basketball broadcasts, while serving as an unofficial counselor to the athletes he covered and a relentless advocate for the university he loved.
He loved to just come up and ask you how you were doing. So as a player, you really knew he did care about you. He would come up and say, "Hey, Mike, how you doing? What's going on? Hey, that play was really great. I like the way you blocked that guy."
Murph really opened my eyes to the fact that, hey, this is college football, and the people listening to this game primarily have a vested interest of some sort in Stanford. So let's appeal to them. Okay, we're not doing pro football. We're not doing a journalistic, thorough enterprise here. Let's have some fun with it. And Murph also taught me that it was okay to let your passion show. He has such remarkable passion for Stanford in every facet, and it pours forth. And it's okay. It's a college game. It's okay to be that way.
I learned a lot from Bob. He really taught you how to connect with people. They're not just a face, they're a person. And so as he would see people walking by, he would see, say, someone who played in the 1958 team. He would see their wife. He knew their wife, and he would call the wife over and he would kind of tease them a little bit. And I know the crowd loved that. So what it taught me, and what I learned from Bob, is you've got to be more than stats. You've got to be more than being an opinionated person who thinks a team's going to win or lose. You've got to connect with the fans.
He knows everybody. I'll be talking to him on the phone, and he'll talk about how he's going to play golf with my old pal Jimmy Stevenson or my old pal, and he just keeps mentioning these guys, and I'm going, well, that guy's, like 100 years old, But then he'll talk about how he's going to play golf with some athlete he just graduated 2 years ago. So I think his Stanford network extends from guys who are 24 years old to guys who are 80 years old.
The cardinal is waving over the field. Our men are fighting.
Murphy's favorite week of the year is the build-up to the big game between Stanford and Cal, for which he emcees several banquets and hauls out his A material. His wit has also enlivened the AT&T National Pro-Am at Pebble Beach and countless other charity events, helping to raise millions. But his bread and butter were the games he called over his 43 years behind the microphone, taking his listeners on journeys across the country and through the ups and downs of bitter heartbreak and stunning victory. He broadcast more than 1,000 of those Stanford games before retiring in 2007. By then, he was more well-known to Bay Area sports fans than most of Stanford's presidents or professors, or coaches.
Murph spent the last 20 years of his time at Stanford really as the school's athletic ambassador, representing them so beautifully in so many ways, helping with fundraising and helping with donors. Those things are invaluable, and Murph has left a legacy at Stanford that was very, very deep because of that.
How does one man become the voice of an entire university? By not worrying so much about his voice, but about the people the voice can reach. A former Stanford basketball player, Adam Keefe, once said of Murphy, "He's almost like a flag. You come to Stanford and there's Sunken Diamond, the football stadium, Maples Pavilion, and Murph." Tonight, the San Jose Sports Hall of Fame inducts not just a voice, but an institution.